Welcome to Speed Week. I'm Bob Jenkins.
And I'm Larry Newber. The kart points battle is closer than ever after last Sunday's Stroh's 150 at Phoenix.
Well, Larry, that race saw a rookie on the pole, a first-time 1984 winner, and a lot of damaged equipment. The rookie pole winner was Jacques Villeneuve, one of 8 drivers to better the track record held by Rick Mears. But Jacques can't hold off the early challenges of Bobby Rahal and Michael Andretti. Tom Sneva, who crashed late in the Saturday practice session with Scott Brayton, is driving as aggressively as ever. He locks up the left front tires, moving to the inside of Pete Halsmer. Tom has to finish ahead of Mario to stay alive for the championship. But Mario, who said he was out to finish, not win, can't resist the temptation. He passes son Michael for second, and then, after a caution period caused by Roberto Guerrero's crash in turn 2, passes Rahal and takes the lead while lapping others running in the top 10. This race will see many of the oval track veterans crash. Dick Simon, Scott Brayton, and Al Holbert collide in turn 1. Then, shortly after the green comes out, there's a melee on the front stretch. Pete Halsmer, Al Sr., Danny Sullivan, and Howdy Holmes are all okay, but out of the race. Rahal's pit stop during this caution sets up a duel we've seen many times this year. Mario and Tom running first and second. A.J. Foyt, making his first appearance at Phoenix in 6 years and his first short track start of the year, is not running up front, but running well. Then a pit stop, and a disgusted Foyt begins to unbuckle. What happened, A.J.?
Well, we had it hooked up, and I come in the pits hollering. I got a tire problem with the front end hitting the racetrack about the last 8 laps, and I punctured a tire, and they was too damn big of a fool to see, what was going on. I got disgusted to hell with it.
A.J. says he'll be back next year with a 2-car team. On the front stretch again, another crash. John Cock hits the inside wall hard, but he's okay. The car he made contact with is Andretti's, and he has to come in for a long point-costing pit stop. That puts Rahal in the lead. Al Jr. passes Tom for second, and before the checkered flag, Michael Andretti also passes Tom, dropping Sneva to 4th. Rahal wins for the 4th time, but it's his first win this year.
Our 7-Eleven cart is, I was concerned about the tires because I knew it'd be a problem, and really the car's balance stayed beautiful throughout, and I think we were catching Mario slowly when he had, I don't know, he must have had some problem or something, but I could see Tom was in a lot of trouble with tires, and I knew that with 8 laps to go or what have you, we could stay ahead of him, and I went as hard as I could the last 6 laps or however long it was, and I tell you, I'm thrilled.
Going into the next to the last race of the year, Mario has a 4-point lead on Tom. Rahal's victory moves him into a tie for 3rd with Rick. Danny Sullivan is 5th. Michael Andretti, Al Unser Jr., Al Sr., Jeff Brabham, and Danny and Gaius round out the top 10.
Also out in the Phoenix desert this weekend, cactus, rattlesnakes, and jack rabbits. Rabbits, of course, participants in the Beilstein VW Cup race. Paul Hacker, the big brother, on the verge of yet another championship, qualified for the pole. He chose to start inside, allowing Peter Schwartzat to cascade off the banking into the lead. After all, Peter is from Niagara Falls. 2nd place really up for grabs. The veteran Les Bem in the 3-tone 61 takes it for now. Peter leads, but 2 teams of drafts chase. The blue, white, and green Phantoms and the Hacker Express of O's. Cliff Beeman, only his 2nd race of the year, ran up front, spewed some liquid, and then involved in this crash with Rick Jackson. Anything for pub for the proposed San Antonio street race, eh, Rick? Peter is just loping along, in control, while Paul Hacker, after a lot of effort, hops past Bem into 2nd. Kurt Matthewson has made the best jump from 15th to 7th. Matter of fact, the best racing all day long was 7th through 13th. Indiana's William Pate stopped right in the middle of the front stretch on the last lap, giving the finish an unusual look. Schwartzat cruised through okay under a race-to-the-line yellow, and in 2nd place was Paul Hacker. That was good enough for the championship, but Carl Hacker had the photo finish for 3rd over Alistair Ogue and Les Bem.
Darrell Waltrip continued his domination at the North Wilkesboro Speedway last weekend. That story coming up on Speed Week. A new racing engine for Indy cars. Chris Economaki, the editor of National Speed Sport News, assesses the story for Speed Week.
Thanks, Bob. Monday's surprise announcement by Chevrolet that it will finance and put its name on an all-out IndyCar engine has taken the racing community by surprise. The project in which Roger Penske will be involved, will have far-reaching consequences for racing in this country and perhaps abroad. Firstly, it stamps championship auto racing teams as a force to be reckoned with in the upper levels of Motor City management. After all, CART took on Detroit and won. CART, in an effort to protect its Cosworth car owners from a Detroit-financed high-buck stock block effort, virtually ruled stock production block engines off the track, grandfathering in but a few car owners. Detroit, faced with nowhere to run its high-performance engines in Major League open-wheel racing outside the Indy 500, capitulated to CART's line, which has been, if you want to be in racing, build a racing engine. The first effect of the announcement will be to give the rules as we know them long-term stability. Roger Penske, who's involved in the project, remembers well how a rule change wiped the Offie off the track. And as a consequence, we can expect those rules to be fixed for many years to come. Just last week in Italy, Enzo Ferrari said that if the Indy rules were fixed for 4 years, he'd give serious consideration to sending his blood-red cars to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, a possible secondary benefit of the Chevrolet announcement. Once this engine is off and running and winning, the resultant publicity and promotion Chevy will put behind its achievements could raise the level of interest in motorsports in this country to that enjoyed by Formula One abroad. It's certainly the biggest story of 1984, perhaps the decade.
Thank you, Chris. The Grand National Stock Cars were in the mountains of North Carolina for the rain-delayed Holly Farms 400. The event was a race within a race. First, the competition to win the race, 400 laps in the 5/8, and then the quest for the Winston Cup Championship, the race. See those white cars up front? Well, everybody figured that's who they'd have to beat, and boy, were they right. Darrell Waltrip, pole again, has won 5 of the last 7 races here, and his teammate Neil Bonnet starred for an 84 victory. The two-time champ leads 36 laps before finally giving way to Neil. Well, he didn't give it away. The youngest Hueytown gang member is looking pretty good about here. The next 140 circuits belong to Old Blue Eyes. Ah, yes, the points quest, the players, and their philosophies. Leader Terry Labonte.
We have to finish right now. We have to be a little cautious. We really can't take any unnecessary chances. We can't try anything new.
Second in tallies, Harry Gant.
Go out for victory, because the championship, you know, you can win it or you can lose it. And, of course, you can in a race, too, but we try to win each race day by day or race by race, and we don't worry about the points or anything, the Winston Cup points. We just run for win this race.
And then Mr. Waltrip.
We got to go out and run hard and win. Hopefully everything will hang together, and what happened last week won't happen again, and we can pull it off. I think I can do it.
Texan Labonte is off pace today. He gets 5 important bonus points for leading during a flurry of pit stops. He gets lapped shortly thereafter, and he'll only finish 9th, his worst in the last 12 races. Harry is a threat to win all day, but ironically never leads. He'll finish 2nd and move to within 59 of the points lead. Bill Elliott mathematically still has a shot, but he too an off day and an 8th. Meanwhile, back to the race. Here's a rundown of the action. Waltrip, of all people, spins down the backstretch. Jeff Hooker bounced into him, no lap lost. L.D. Ottinger spins with open wheel man Kenny Schrader, then a little later bangs up with Lake Speed. Tim Richmond, planning a green flag pit stop, spun into the pit wall and thrilled some pit members as he regrouped. Dave Marcus apparently cutting a tire and then a beeline into the wall. And finally, Trevor Boys, Greg Sachs, and Kyle Petty, well, they discovered Turn 1's entrance just a little too narrow. Defending champ Bobby Allison had one of his better days, started 18th, but was the pace setter for 90 laps. Although 7 stayed on the lead lap, it was just too much Junior Johnson and too much Darrell Waltrip for the final 100. The other 6 in order, Harry, Bobby, Neil, Rusty Wallace showing him a thing or two, Ricky Rudd, and Dale Earnhardt. Now here's the top 5 in points. It's Terry and Harry, but Bill, Darrell, and Dale see it slipping away.
Prior to last weekend's Bobby Isaac Memorial 200 late model sportsman race at Hickory, North Carolina, Larry Pearson's best finish in LMS competition was a 4th, but Davidson took the lead from Jack Ingram on the 117th lap and went on to the checkered. Sam Ard finished 5th and says he will not jump to the Grand National Division next year.
Model racing, the All-American 400 at Nashville, ASA versus All-Pro, North versus South. This year's edition, chock full of action. Gary Ballou's Black Streak sat on the pole and led early while the activity behind him was spirited. In the first 30 laps, Gary didn't look like a winner. A couple of Southerners passed him. First, Jody Ridley, then Mike Alexander. On lap 33, Wisconsin's Dave Watson scattered an engine, and 8 fellow competitors all over turn 1. Sterling Marlin's 42 had the worst damage. Louisiana's Ray Putnam scared a few folks, including Ray Putnam. Despite the high flight, he's okay. On the restart, Tampa's Daniel Keene and Georgia's Ronnie Sanders, they tried dirt tracking down the home stretch. And as Joe Ruttman in Bobby Allison's car and Mike Alexander fought, another big one erupted. This time, Mike Eddy and Bob Seneca were involved. Heavy front dents to both. Donnie Bishop ended up wearing Ruttman's right front fender once, and Bob Seneca, trying to get the ASA championship, and Darrell Brown, trying for all pros, ended up wearing no fenders at all. In the final 100 laps, Ballew's speed returned, and he cruised to victory. Dick Trickle stayed out of trouble. His 9th was the ASA crown, while Brown's 8th was good enough for the all-pro ring.
The Winston West Series visited Sears Point Raceway near Sonoma, California on Sunday, and all the big names were there. Like 56-year-old Herschel McGriff, Mr. Winston West, his driving career has spanned 4 decades. Bill Schmidt, the 1977 and 79 Winston West champ. Defending titleist Jim Robinson. And 24-year-old Jim Bound, currently 3rd in points, but only 33 away from the lead. McGriff in his 04 Pontiac outdrags Bound to the first corner. Bill Schmidt of the Mountain Dew Chevy is 3rd. Lap 15 and Bound grabs the lead for the first time, but Herschel is sticking like glue. Derek Cope in his 711 Ford is the points leader in Winston West. He'll settle for an 8th place finish this day. Bound gives up the lead while a yellow flies over the 1.8-mile road course, but when it's green again, Jim begins to pull away and records an 8-second victory over Jim Robinson's old.
5 still have a shot in Grand National North, and 100 points available in this week's final. Last week, Thunder Road's Fall Foliage 100 only tightened things. The inverted starts often mean lap after lap of helmet dash-like racing. Point leader Robbie Crouch in Petty Blue, a transplanted Floridian, spun early, almost went a lap down. Rick Zelma led until this maneuver on lap 15. Most of the front runners had moved up and were right behind. Barney McClay held on long as he could, but something fast this way came. In 1 lap, Stub Fadden, Bobby Dragon, and Chuck Bound all swept by. 5-time Canadian NASCAR champ John Paul Cabana started his white 5A in 16th, squeezed under Randy LaJoie for 4th. Remember, John Paul is high in points. Portland person, Bound, proves to be the fastest. From 17th, he's streaking away until, well, it's pretty obvious. With the green machine down, Fadden is back at the helm, but the pursuers are faster. But Stubb delivers. 40 perfect circles. Dragon, Cabana, Joey Carafas, LaJoie, and the recovered Couch are 1 through 6. ARCA 2, final race, Macon, Georgia. The DeMarco mercenaries here. The young one is Davey Allison. The mature one, Bob Dodder, talking things over with Bill Venturini. 2-time champ Dodder, Orange 83, in a position to be conservative, but finds the lead comes easy from Venturini at the start. Dodder stays out front, and Davey Allison stays on his own pace. Soon after, the top 3 in points discover they don't have far to look to find each other. The reopened Middle Georgia Speedway pits will get a workout today. Grand National driver Ken Reagan, for instance, will watch most of the race from here. Kentucky's Jack Cornett and Ohio's Bobby Jacks combine to almost take out Davey. They'll all race on. As Davey orbits around, suddenly the points leader is dead in the water. Dodder has a broken axle, but after a 27-lap fix, he's back. Without the repairs, he would have lost the championship. As the saying goes, the veteran Dodder won the war as Davey wins the battle, backing out of the throttle on the final turn. Difference between first and second in points, a honeymoon. He missed a race, and it cost him 100 bonus tallies. That's Mrs. Davey in Victory Circle. Sort of looks like Davey may have still gotten the best of the deal, doesn't it?
A.J. Foyt is planning a 2-car Indy team for next year. He had hoped to hire Al Unser Jr., but little Al has signed with Lotus for 1985. ESPN's Jack Arute asked A.J. who he's looking at now.
Well, I really don't know. You know, I never really got down to really talking contracts or anything with Al Jr. I just, we're good friends. You know, his daddy was one of the first drivers we had in one of our Lolas at Indy years back, Alan Sr. we're just good friends, and I think he made a good decision. They paid him quite well, I understand. I don't know what he got, but I think he's going to be an upcoming race driver, and that's what you always look for.
One available driver is Chip Ganassi. He stepped out of his old Milwaukee March after practice last Friday, but says he's retired from that team, not racing.
The most prolific racer on bikes the last 3 years has been Ricky Graham. He appeared on the AMA Grand National scene in '78, first won in '80, and since then has progressively won more races each year. This Californian was champ in '82, and this weekend he only needs a top 10 to do it again.
I wasn't like the normal kids who start racing professionally. Most of them say, I want to be Grand National #1. I didn't think that way. I just thought, I want to go out there and do the best I can, and I can beat these guys if we were up in the mountains, play riding together. I know I could beat the guys. So that's the attitude I took. I didn't take the attitude of winning every race.
Joe Leonard and international stars like Johnny Sekoto before him have converted to car racing.
Well, we've had talk about getting into stock cars with my ex-mechanic, Tex Peel. He really wants to get into stock car racing. The only type of cars, I've dreamed about racing a car before, but that's as far as my car experience goes. So we're in an ideal position right now in Grand National Motorcycle Racing, so I'm just going to play it by feel.
Riverside Raceway in California may be moved to just east of the city of Corona. The multi-purpose facility will include a 1 3/4 mile oval track and a road course. The publicly owned track should be ready by 1987. In the rumor mill, Formula One driver Patrick Tambay may be in line for the VDS IndyCar next year. By the way, the World Driving Championship will be decided this Sunday in Portugal. It'll either be Niki Lauda, who's the current points leader, or his teammate Alain Prost, who's just 3.5 points behind. By the way, that race can be seen here on ESPN at 3:30 Saturday afternoon, November the 3rd. Other rumors have Ricky Rudd joining the Raymond Beetle Blue Max team for 1985. Roberto Moreno is said to be the pick of Rick Gallus to replace Al Unser Jr., and the World of Outlaws season ended in the rain last weekend. The Knoxville finale was canceled, so Steve Kinzer is king once again. He won 19 features during 1984, and the earnings will approach $250,000.
Here's this week's trivia question. A.J. Foyt won his first championship race at DuQuoin in 1960. Where did he win his most recent IndyCar race? A, Pocono, B, Texas, C, Milwaukee, D, Ontario, or E, Phoenix? The answer in a moment. Here's the answer to this week's trivia question. A.J.'s first win, DuQuoin in 1960. His most recent, the rain-shortened Pocono 500 in 1981.
The final 2 division champions were decided in offshore powerboat racing last weekend. Class 2, Sal Magluta in the Seahawk wrapped up the title, although the boat was taking on water and had only 1 engine at the finish. Maxon with pilot Tim Casuli won the race and finished second in points. In Class 5, Thriller and the ACR Spirit traded the lead several times, but on the last lap, the Spirit was sidelined with engine trouble. Jack Clark in Thriller recorded his first win.
Several IndyCar drivers will be looking for their first win Sunday in the Quinn's Cooler 300 at Laguna Seca. We'll be there with live coverage at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Larry Newber.
And I'm Bob Jenkins.